Excellent. So let's get this thing cooking. Master Hackelman, good to see you, sir. Welcome to
Hey,
the day.
hey, thanks, man. Looking forward to what is the third, right? In February.
Yeah, a week out, we're going to kick off that 99-day training program. I really think you'll get a kick out of it. And
Yeah.
yes, that pun was intended. Hey, we
Uh-huh.
just had a spectacular training in Jacksonville, Florida this weekend, both for business and the Warrior Martial Arts certification. And the head count, I don't know, Master Likes was there. Master Likes, take a guess. How many people were there in Jacksonville this weekend? Uh-oh, you must be new to this. Shake it. Well, I'll speak. Go ahead,
All
sir.
right. Sorry about that. I thought I clicked it. It had to be north of 300 people, right?
It was unbelievable. People chopping, blocking, kicking, twisting, flipping. It was absolutely fantastic. So everyone listening to this call right now, before we dive into the Q&A, we have an ongoing training mechanism in Jacksonville, Florida, with a beautiful headquarter location that has 3 bays. One bay is exclusively designed to help owner operators and their staff develop the business acumen to do extraordinarily well. The Central Bay is how our martial art academies under the banner of Karate America are run. And if you're ever curious to see what the dynamics are of a multi-studio operation, come to Jacksonville. We'll show you how the sausage is made. And the third wing of our facility is a 8,000 square foot training floor with heavy bags and all the lot.
You've been
So
there.
we had several people. Again, I think the actual participant was north of 200 families and supporting friends. We probably had at one point well over 300 people in the building. But the purpose is to be a one-stop shop. We're talking about the Warrior System, where you can develop your skills for becoming a better instructor, keeping students longer, and help developing black belts in concert with learning a more concise business methodology that not only allows you to have students more firmly committed, but allows you to enjoy the income you hope to make. Enough with the commercial. Let's start with the questions. Hey, one of the first questions I was asked was, how do you get your leads to call you back? Now, this is a topic that we have to review time and time again. But here's the secret. Of all the things you can do to get your leads to call you back is to pick up the phone ASAP. The sooner you reply or respond to an opt-in, the more likely you'll have that all-important first phone call that in most cases determines whether they'll move forward or not. One of the things I want to really stress for everybody is first impressions are, if not everything, most things when trying to create a relationship. And ladies and gentlemen, that's the game we're in. We're in the business of developing, creating relationships with families to help them through the martial arts. So the quickest way, the best way, really the only way to get more activity and action out of your leads is to respond almost instantaneously. Now, I know a lot of us are using autoresponders, and perhaps Roman can chime in about that in just a moment. However, the human voice is what makes all the difference. Statistically, if you take more than 5 minutes to respond to a lead, your likelihood of connecting that lead is decreased by as much as 80%. That means 8 out of the 10 leads that come in, if you don't reach out to within 5 minutes, chances are you're not going to catch up to them. The only way to counteract that is with using autoresponders, but in the appropriate way, sending meaningful texts and eliminating any sound that when a person who inquires about your program reads sounds like a sales offer. It has to be a connection, and Roman can address that. But here's the secret to getting people to respond once they opt in. You got to call ASAP. Now you decide what the hours will be as far as responding. In Jacksonville, we will respond directly between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. If a lead comes in, we're going to pull off the side of the road if needed, pick up that phone and call them ASAP. Now, even though you respond that quickly, what you're going to find, ladies and gentlemen, is that people don't necessarily take your call the first time you reach out. They're unfamiliar with their number. They're fearful about being spammed. So the chances are they're going to ignore your call. So the way you get this person who you reached out to within 5 minutes to take your call is the double dial. And I know a lot of you have heard it, but let's repeat it. Double dial is when you call you let it ring through to the voice message, hang up, and call right back. Now, this is proven to be a surefire way of getting more people to answer. Now, you can go ahead and do a triple call if you like, but typically a double call will suffice. But the message you leave, if you have to, will determine if they call you back. So some of the ideas I have for you to answer this question are: drop the sales jargon. Just drop it. Don't talk about what you're selling. Don't talk about how you're selling it. Don't do anything other than to do your best to elevate a sense of urgency, like they may miss out. So one of the first dialogues we coach people on is the all-important first message you leave. And it has to be enthusiastic, to the point, razor sharp, and it has to do three things. Number one is let them know that you're the one who's going to help them. You are the person they need to speak with to figure out or to find out if you're the right academy for them. Second, they got to find out or hear in your message that, man, we must have called the right academy. And the way you do that is you let them know that now is the perfect time to start. But the third leverage you have to use if you want this person to call you back is the leverage of scarcity, that there may not be room left. And I'll go ahead and demonstrate the phone dialogue to illustrate that even though we promote the idea of using a dialogue, once you make it your own, you're able to deliver it more authentically. And as a result of that, people hear your message and they will be more inclined to reach out because they don't think you're a salesperson. They think you're the right person to help them with what they need to find out about your academy to come in. And here's the message I would leave. First off, I would say their name 3 times. I would say it like this: Terry Lewis. Hey, hi, Terry. This is Fred Mertens, one of the instructors up here at Karate America on Monument Road. Hey, I see just minutes ago, you opted in to find out about our program, and I'm the instructor who's going to help you with all the information. And I got to tell you, Terry, your timing is perfect. We're enrolling new students for the rest of this month. But I got to warn you, this is a very popular membership that we have, and our class is filling up fast. So not to miss out, I need to hear from you as soon as possible. So call me back directly on this number, 916-612-2420. If you don't want to call, shoot me a text with the best time I can reach out, and I will. I look forward to speaking with you. All the best. We'll talk soon. Goodbye. Click. That's your message, guys. We're not talking about class times. We're not talking about the membership. We're not talking about anything other than, lady, I need you to call me back or you're going to miss out. So before we go on to the next question we need to answer, any questions or comments or concerns? Master Likes, is there anything we should add to that? The reason I'm asking Master Likes is that he is masterful on the phone. He locks himself in a room and he calls his leads. The last year of his business before he sold it, he enrolled north of 500 members in a single calendar year. So, sir, anything you want to add to that?
Just exactly what you did, sir, with your certainty, your scarcity, your sincerity, all those tonalities on the phone, because I can't see you on the phone. So the tonality is important. The 3 tones I focus on is absolute certainty, utter sincerity, and a reasonable tone, which we call reasonable man.
So when you role play in practice, this is what you're trying to develop. Master Pesky, every Saturday, he brings his entire staff to his main location in Carmichael, California, and they sit down, they role play, they practice, and they call leads. Master Pesky, could you give our audience maybe a structure they could utilize, maybe weekly or bi-monthly, or excuse me, weekly, bi-weekly, or maybe monthly, the type of training that would get the staff plugged in and turned on and ready to use the materials? Go ahead, sir.
Well, yeah, like Master Merton just said, we meet, we train for an hour on the floor, and then we spend 2 hours training off the floor. And I think that is so important because everyone in this industry is, I'm assuming, is a really good martial artist, but most people in this industry haven't put in even a fraction of time in how to run their business, right? They don't know the phone dialogues, they don't know the sales dialogues, or even if you do know them, you have to continue to practice and train. If you were going to go do a karate tournament and do your form for competition, you're going to practice. You don't just show up and go, oh yeah, I've been doing it forever, I got it. You know, if you're going to train for a fight, you're going to train for the fight. You're not going to go, oh, I've been fighting my whole life, it'll be fine. You always prepare for what you want to do. And yet in our business, we forget that. I was talking to a group this morning, learning your phone dialogue or your enrollment dialogue, it's like learning a form. Heck, it's kind of like sparring. I need to know what to say, how to say, just like on the phone when I go to enroll somebody. So what we do is after we finish our physical training, we come sit down and we talk about what's happened this week, what went right. We review the numbers, we look for holes, and then we drill down on it. And most of my team in Carmichael and outlying areas here have been with us for 7 years. They really know the stuff. They're quite good. And yet they still practice, they still train, just like we do in martial arts. And that way you keep that edge sharp. So we will sit down and we do it a variety of different ways. I mean, heck, this Saturday we did kind of like a hot potato. When first we start with our phone dialogue and called someone out. Like for example, I'd say, okay, Joel Brown, you start. Hey, John Pesky, thanks for calling the academy. How can I help you? Okay, your turn. Freeman, go. Yeah, well, I was interested in lessons for myself. Okay, Roman. Oh, great. How old are you? Have you ever trained before? And we just go around and throw each other, just like I said, like playing hot potato, because you have to think quick on your feet and you have to know the dialogue. And then it's just another way to kind of gamify the training. If I can make training fun, it's like we tell parents, if I can make discipline and structure a fun, exciting event, you go far. Well, if I can make training in the business more fun, more palatable, more exciting, then everyone embraces it. So we'll practice, for example, the phone dialogue. We'll go around the table a few times just to make sure, get everyone's juices flowing, because you do have to get in the right state to make good calls, I think, and as you get better at it, you can change it in an instant. But we'll practice some role play and practice. We'll do some role play and practice with the phones. And then we said, okay, now everyone's got leads. Let's go find a place in the building. Let's put 20 minutes on the clock and let's meet back here and we'll review. It's kind of like a professional team reviewing the tape. So we'll go spread out, make some calls, 20 minutes, time's up, everyone come back. We'll have sold 6 or 7 trials. And we'll talk about what just happened. So it allows everyone to kind of share their experience, good or bad. Oh, this guy hung up on me. This person bought a trial. This person had to leave a message. Great. And so it allows everyone to kind of have this camaraderie that they realize, hey, you're not in it alone. Everyone's got to deal with the same stuff. Let's treat it professionally. Because the truth is, half of your leads might be junk. So let's generate a whole bunch. And then half of those will buy a trial. And at least half of those will, in fact, enroll. And at least half of those will upgrade to some type of long-term membership, being 3 years or more. So since I know how the game is played, I don't need to take it personally if a person does or doesn't. The truth is, some will, some won't. So what? Who's next?
And whether you sell a trial or you gift them a membership, whether it's a one lesson or an assessment class or maybe a week or 2 of lessons, ladies and gentlemen, you still have to sell the appointment. This idea that if I just make a free offer, don't worry, they'll waddle in, get over it. Whether they opt in for a free lesson, a free week, a free month, 2 weeks for $20, 4 weeks for $49, doesn't matter. You got to get them on the phone and create that connection. Now, there's one more thing I want to add before I move on to the next topic. And what we're discussing right now is your response time, how you respond to leads. Everybody here, if you have a website that's worth its salt or you're involved in an agency, they tell you, hey, don't you worry about those leads. We'll respond automatically. Heck, we'll even use AI. Listen, I wish it worked as well as promised. But the reason why you need an autoresponder is to let the people know that opt in or inquire about your program, that you know you heard from them. Roman, if you'd unmute yourself, let me lead you through a couple of questions so we can help these guys realize what we're talking about here. You ready?
Yep.
Auto responding. Do you agree? We send an auto respond to let them know, yeah, lady, yes, we have your information, correct?
Yes. Yep.
And the message should imply what specifically? That first message they get, tell our audience, what should it inform the person who opted in?
I would recommend, because it goes out so fast, it should state that it's an autoresponder. so that they know, they don't think you're trying to
This
fake
down,
them
write this
out.
down, write this down. Go ahead,
Yeah,
keep going.
so it should state that it's an autoresponder. Let them know that you've received their information, restate the name of your academy. I'd put in something like respond Y to confirm that we have your best number, and then let them know that a team member will be reaching out soon, an instructor will be reaching out soon to give them more information, see if it's a right fit.
What some of the studios that we're helping have done too is they give timelines. Like, for example, the autoresponder goes out midnight. They inform them that one of the instructors will reach out between 9 and 10:30. So give them a timeline. You're doing this to best prepare this person to pick up the phone and answer you. However, let's go back to basics here. Your autoresponder is designed to let them know, hey, yeah, we heard from you, and then give them an idea as far as what the next step will be. If you want somebody to comply with your request, tell them what to do in advance. For example, so maybe at the end of that phone dialogue I left, maybe we should leave this. So when my number comes up, 916-612-2429, Miss Lewis, you got to pick up because I don't want your child to miss out. So we'll close this one section by saying one more thing. And I like what Master Light shared. Tonality changes the story. And think about each time you reach out through the phone, you were about to do a little mini, I don't know, what is it, 40, 45, 50 seconds, a minute and 10? You're about to perform an exercise to demonstrate to these folks that you really and you sincerely want to help them. That's the secret to getting people to call you back. So with that, let's take the next step. One of the questions I had during the training I did this past weekend is, how the heck can you possibly close someone at the end of the very first lesson when they bought a trial for 2 weeks, for 3 weeks to 4 weeks? I mean, don't they want to use it first? Well, that's a great question. I'm sure it's crossed the minds of most of you, but before you appreciate what I'm about to explain, you might struggle with it. And here it is. First off is your belief system. How do you believe people buy in martial arts? And again, I'm not going metaphysical on you, but how do you think about it? Do you think, well, in order for someone to buy a martial art program, they got to try it a few times before they buy it? Well, if you think that way, it's going to get in your way as far as you being able to help more people. What if you thought this way? Okay, and if you want to jot this down, it might be helpful. I believe that everyone who comes to my academy is ready to start after I teach them their first lesson. Heck, I'm going way back in the olden days when my instructor first hired me. And he said, Freddie, when somebody comes in, that is the opportunity to enroll them. And you just have to believe that you are about to gift them a lesson where by the end of the lesson, they know they found the right academy. And if you're bold enough, if you're comfortable and confident enough to encourage them to sign on that line that is dotted, we will build an enormous academy. And he was right. So enough about me. Let's talk about you. There is no other time better than at the end of their first visit to cheerfully, enthusiastically invite someone to enroll. In my mind's eye, after they leave, after their very first lesson, I think if you haven't attempted or enrolled them, you've disappointed them. And let me give you a crazy example. Now, I'm sure none of you this happened to, but you might know somebody. Remember when you were a kid? That one gym class, the lazy PE instructor said, today we'll play dodgeball. Pick your teams. And the two most athletic people were the captains. And they started choosing from the audience. And again, I know it probably didn't happen to you, but somebody was picked last. And that last person that was picked, he or she was typically the first one thrown out. Now, what am I talking about? I want you to realize this. Have this mindset. If somebody comes into your academy and you do your dog and pony show, you take them on a tour, you meet the instructors, you sit down, you find out what they really want to accomplish. You teach an introductory class that shows the student and their parent exactly how they're going to get the benefits you want. And you sit down and you don't invite them to enroll. It's like being picked last for the dodgeball competition. Nobody wants to be picked last. See, your job is to invoke confidence. Your job is to instill enthusiasm for the student and perhaps their parent that, man, we have found the right place. So the purpose of an introductory procedure orientation class is to show them they can do it, show them they're going to be really good at it, and that you're the one for them. But all that is for naught if you don't tell them they're ready. At the end of the first visit, tell them they're ready to begin your membership. And again, I don't care if your offer is one lesson, a single assessment class, or 4 full weeks of training. It's that at the end of the first class, you tell them they're ready. And here's how you do it. You might want to write this one down. Mrs. Smith, let me explain our trial program. Mrs. Smith, let me explain our assessment class. And Mrs. Smith, let me explain our 30-day VIP membership where you get a whole month to try it before you buy it. All these methods. Now let me go back to a script. Let me explain the reason for the assessment class. Mrs. We use the assessment class to determine if a student is ready for one of our programs. And I had to tell you, after what we saw tonight, we're going to do great. You have found the right martial art academy. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to show you how to enroll, to not only help your youngster give him a vote of confidence, but even show you how to save money. Let me explain. Or let's say you sold a 2-week trial and they paid $20 hard-earned dollars for it. And they might just think they need to use the 2 weeks because they bought it to figure out if you're the right academy. Tell them they're ready. Mrs. Smith, you're on our 2-week trial membership. This is the program we use to best qualify a student for one of our programs. And I have to tell you, after what we just saw tonight, there's no doubt in my mind that you found the right martial art academy to help your child develop that self-confidence we spoke about earlier. So we don't need to wait. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to show you how to apply the full value of your 2-week membership to save money by enrolling tonight. I mean, you wouldn't be opposed to saving money, would you? Guys, that's how you sell the membership. At the end of the intro, tell them that they qualified. At the end of the intro, tell them that you've seen enough. At the end of the intro, tell them that they're ready to begin a full-blown membership. Do your presentation and watch how your numbers will skyrocket. Because I think here's what happens. You teach a dynamite intro, and you might be a little uncomfortable inviting them to enroll. So you tell yourself, well, if he comes back to a few more classes, he'll even be more ready, as my little nephew say, more ready. The problem with that is that now they contrast that experience they had with you that was only an hour to the rest of the week. Hey, listen, there are 168 hours in a week. Even after a student enrolls, we only get to interact with them maybe 3, maybe 4 if it's a more engaged student. So the other 164 hours, that's what affects your membership. The fact they got to battle traffic to get there on time. They didn't realize they had to iron and wash that uniform. They didn't realize that sometimes it would be difficult to pry Timmy away from his friends in the backyard to take a break for class. They didn't realize that they just committed to, they're being invited to commit to a membership that's going to be a permanent part of their schedule. And the truth is, the longer you take to enroll them, the more of all this other stuff they see without elevating their understanding how impactful your membership is. And they do what? They stop showing up. I spoke with a gentleman over the weekend, very nice guy, nice, solid business. And he explained to me, he said, well, we sell a 4-week trial, but by week 2, we know they're ready. And I asked him, he's down in Orlando, I said, tell the truth, shame that devil who's out there. Out of all the people to start the introductory program, how many do you get to sit down and present for membership? He had never really thought about it. He just gladly accepted the fact that most people who started didn't finish. And I said, what if you brought that presentation back to end their very first lesson? You would at least have a fighting chance at helping somebody understand how you're going to help them and get them to agree to buy a program. So the moral story is this. You sell or offer a trial, not to let them use it, but to get them to consider idea of martial arts, to come in and try it. And if you do your job correctly, we will leverage the value of it, your trial offer, regardless of what it is, as an incentive to enroll tonight, and you will help more people. Because I think what typically happens in most studios is that half the people that opt in, well, you'll never meet. But half of the half may agree to show up. And based on the engagement you have on that call will determine their show rate and their level of readiness. But the truth of the matter is, if you are not enrolling more than half the people that come into your academy at the end of the first lesson, hey, you might be doing it wrong. You want to add anything to that, Master Pesky? Because that's a big topic for a lot of folks.
It's well, like you said, they'll never be more excited when they first start. And the longer we take, to delay is to deny. So the longer we take to find out if they're going to do it or not, the more problems that will come up. It is an emotional decision to enroll a 6-year-old child on a membership. Heck, even if you only did a 6-month, 6, 12, 36 months, 60 month, whatever the membership is, it is. It doesn't, people are so conditioned to make these non-committal type things nowadays. I've got to help them realize that they can do it. They might be pretty good at it. This is the place for them. And if I took them to the PA to find out what they want to improve on, demonstrate it during this little short lesson, and invite them to enroll, more people will say yes. Yeah. And as you learn not only what to say, but how to say it, as you get better and better at that, then your conversion rates just skyrocket. Again, it's kind of like learning a form. People look at the dialogue for the phone or the enrollment, and they look at it, they flip through it, they go, oh, yeah, I know this. Okay, well, that's great. Every form I ever learned had low blocks in it. Oh, I know this, but it's different. It might be a different sequence. It might be a slightly different twist or turn. It might be a new technique in the midst of a bunch of techniques you already know. So maybe I need to practice this new one to get this down also. Let's not, it is you're taking them on an emotional journey to help them realize, hey, you love the kid you have, but the kid you have is not the kid you want. And I say that all the time. It is so true, because that doesn't mean, it's not to say they don't want their kid. They love their kid dearly. However, every parent wants more for their child. And I'm sure there's a lot of parents on here. Would you agree? Yeah. I mean, every parent, we can all see the things in our child that we want to be better and stronger. So our job is to find out what those weaknesses are, kind of widen that gap to help create a need for what we have to offer, demonstrate our ability to modify and improve that child's behavior in an instant during the tour and orientation lesson, and then invite the parent to enroll. And if we've done our job right, we had the parent involved in it, emotions are running high, and they will make a decision that could impact their family for the rest of their lives. And I think you kind of have to take it that seriously. If you're taking it like an activity, well, then it is, and activities are cheap.
Excellent. Well, thank you, sir. Hey, there's one more thing I want to add to what Master Pesci just mentioned. That is, well, we think we know it. Okay. Yeah. Typically, when you think you know it, it means, well, I'm familiar with it. Mm-hmm. And on a good day, I might even use it. But let me explain something about knowing it. Half the people who think they know what they know, they really don't know that. And let me give a funny example. My grandmaster instructor, Master Clark, is he's a devout patriot. I mean, he's a flag waving, God bless America singing patriot. And one of the things that he does that I think is something that should be woven into most martial art academies is that his organization will say the Pledge of Allegiance before a class, before an event, before a testing, before a tournament. And I just have the utmost respect for my instructor and his commitment and devotion to this fine country we live in. So enough of that. Let me tell you what I'm talking about. Anyway, at the start of this testing event we had on Friday night in Jacksonville, and this place was jam-packed. I mean, we were in there like sardines. And of course, we did our little opening ceremony, did the bow in, and guess what? Next was the Pledge of Allegiance. So I'm standing in a group of, I guess, parents and friends and guests. We all have our hands over our chest, and we start out with a bang. But toward the end of the Pledge of Allegiance, there was a lot of mumbling going on. You know what I mean? In other words, everyone in that room thought they knew the Pledge of Allegiance until it was time to recite the Pledge of Allegiance. And in this little group I was in, about 15, 20 adults, the last 2 or 3 lines, they mumbled. And they mumbled because why? Well, they were familiar with the Pledge of Allegiance, and they know the Pledge of Allegiance. They had time to really think it through. But without constant consideration and practice, you always stumble through. So listen, I know you know the scripts. I know you've seen the dialogue. I know you know. But can you do it? So one of the surefire things you can do to improve the overall performance of everyone on staff is practice what you know. It was fun giving that explanation. All right.
Yes, sir. Now, if I can, we have some questions in here. Kyle Freeman,
fire away. Let's
I
go.
think, has left the building there, but he said, "What's an acceptable follow-up procedure?" And explain theirs. Now, ma'am, your follow-up procedure is probably better than most, and A+ for that, because most people call them the first time after like 3 days, and then that's it. Well, I called them; they should call me back. We have to realize this is a little spark. Our job is to fan it into a flame. So the responsibility is on us, not them. And what we do is a little more aggressive than what you do, because I know that their attention span is so small. You know, I mean, all the online marketing professionals will tell you out there that, you know, people online have the attention span of a goldfish. So it goes quick. And I'm sure we've all had the experience of calling someone, they go, "Well, that wasn't me." Well, yeah, it was, but whatever. So we will double dial, leave a voicemail, shoot them a text. And ideally, we're going to do that 3 times on the first 3 days. So if a call comes in the morning early enough, they'll hear from us 9 times in 72 hours. That's a lot. Because our job, again, I know I'm not going to get them all. I just want to get to the truth. Were you serious or were you not? Either way, it's okay. Now, I see a lot of our messages come in from the academies. I had one just now that popped up and it said someone reached out to her, one of our staff, and she goes, "Oh, thanks for reaching out, but I was thinking maybe in the springtime, could I try back in April?" Absolutely. Here's a link to our private group so you can stay plugged in. I'll make a note to call you then. Great, thanks. I had another one that came in a little bit earlier. The guy says, "I changed my mind. Don't call me." And which we replied, "Okay, great. If you ever change your mind again, we're here to help." Done. Right? But I want to apply pressure for them to take an action so that I can find out where to properly categorize them. So what you're doing is great. I might just amp it up a little more on the front end. The fact that you fall into a drip campaign and all that, perfect. That's great. But I would up the intensity on the front end. And so like we'll even tell them in our voicemail, you know, the first one is our standard message. And then it was like, "Hey, it's me again. Hey, I thought I'd try one more time before the end of the night. You know, I know you were interested and our classes are filling up fast and I'm just really excited to meet you. So I'll call you again from this number tomorrow morning at say 10 a.m. and hopefully you'll be able to pick up. In the meantime, have a great night. Thanks." Click. I mean, just gotta be nice, enthusiastic, and do our best to help them because they said, "Hey, pick me," like the dodgeball. So next question. Do you have a script for autoresponder?
I have
Go ahead.
one thing to add to that,
Yes, please.
which the way you follow up with the other calls saying like, "Hey, me again," stuff like that, also applies to the auto responding messages
Yeah.
that come out. You want them to sound, even though they're automatic, you want them to sound conversational like they're from a real person. So like, "Hey, me again" is reasonable to put in the auto text that goes out so that they feel like it's a real person, not a robot.
Absolutely. Thank you. That's absolutely great. What do you do to help keep higher retention? Oh, well, number one, you got to fulfill the promises you made in the office on the mat. And I think that goes without saying. So, with that in mind, the number one tactic we employ for better retention is upgrade. Upgrade. Think about it. You meet a cute girl, if it does, or guy, if it doesn't get serious, it dies. When it gets serious, if you don't get married, it dies. If you get married and you don't continue to build that relationship, well, it too dies. You have to amplify the level of commitment. You have to amplify the depth of the relationship to get better retention. Everyone says, "Oh, well, add another item, add more classes, add a knife move, do this, do that, play dodgeball, make them have fun, make a Disney dojo." Skip all that. You want to improve retention, create a bigger outcome. Our first one is 2-week trial. Let's upgrade them on their first visit to a basic membership. For us, it's 12 months. Now, why don't we invite them to commit to black belt? Then we'll commit them. Then we'll invite them to extend their training to second or third degree. Then we'll invite them again. Let's do fourth degree. Maybe we should add apprentice. Maybe there's a gold quest option. Maybe there's an instructor path. Every time a student has a bigger opportunity with a bigger outcome, It's like renewing your vows. It supercharges a relationship and retention goes up. Everyone on this call has gone through that at some level, or else you wouldn't be on this call. You'd still be a student lined up in class. So, yeah, the best way to improve retention is upgrade the level of membership the person is on.
And what if I told you that during this 99-day course that we're launching next Monday, that we're going to show you a way of upgrading students without changing their monthly tuition? That would be interesting, wouldn't it? Because sometimes a bigger commitment requires a change in their monthly tuition payment. But what if I told you that our laboratory down in Florida, under the banner of Karate America and our experimentation, we've come up with even a more dynamic way to help people recognize the potential impact of pursuing a higher rank through a membership without affecting their monthly tuition payments. And when you see the genius and the simplicity behind this, you're going to realize the only way you can run your business is to make sure that everyone in your academy is there for at least the same minimum reason, and that is to become a black belt. The training I did last Thursday for this wonderful group of owner operators from all around the country. I had some folks flying from Spain, so I guess that makes me international. Canada, you guys from South America. But one of the things we spoke about was this whole idea of how do you really create an academy that creates a legacy? When I use the term legacy, I guess to me that means it's never forgotten, it's always compared, and it's used as a model to emulate. Here we go. Make certain that everyone in your academy is there for the same reason. See, when a student first starts, they're there for their reason. But to keep them, they got to be there for yours. Now, let me create the distinction. A parent brings in a 10-year-old kid. What does she want? Well, she wants the child to be able to stand up for himself. She wants the kid to have the confidence to raise his hand in class when he's confused. She wants your child to acquire a skill set that will allow him to be more comfortable in his own skin, maybe be more outgoing, more enthusiastic, just a happier kid. That's what they want. Now, we're going to do our best to give them that, but there's a challenge. Not everybody's there for that same reason. The kid next to him in class wants to bring home the trophy. The girl next to that guy just wants to have fun and meet new friends. So here's the challenge in most academies. Everybody's there for a different reason.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the olden times, when I enrolled with Master Clark, way back in the 70s, when platform shoes were the rage, all his students were there for the same reason. He was one of the first instructors ever to make the conscious decision to help his students commit to the level of black belt. That's where this whole black belt club thing was devised. He, along with some other grandmasters, figured out that, hey, if we get our students to commit to a long-term outcome, a big, bold goal, maybe we'll do a better job with our students. They're absolutely right. But here's what I want to drive home. We allow students to enroll for their reason. Fun, fitness, self-defense, meet new friends. But we keep them for our reason. And our reason that they've all made a commitment to one day earn the prestigious rank of black belt. I mean, this is how mega churches are built. How do you have a church that has 12, 15, 20,000 members? Well, you make sure that their entire congregation is all there for the same reason. And I guess their reason is to get to heaven. Our reason is for everyone in your academy to earn the prestigious rank of black belt and beyond. And when you do that, something remarkable happens. The culture changes for the better and your retention will skyrocket. And I saw an example of that this weekend in Jacksonville. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people showed up, not just to perform as martial artists, but to support their martial art friend or perhaps their family member, all there for the same reason, to change their lives, make it, as my nephew says, mold better by earning the rank of black belt and beyond. Was there another question locked and loaded?
Yeah. From Sifu Garcia's group, and ma'am, good to
And
see
Master Hackelman, you're next. He's raised his hand three times.
Great. I'm sorry. Yes, sir. All right, you're next. So, ma'am, you said, how would you handle a parent who won't participate in the first lesson? The question is, parents were pre-framed that parents do participate. One parent participated, the other one sat on his butt. And of course, the kid didn't enroll. Mom wanted to, but dad said no. He's the one who did not participate. Do you stop the lesson or not do the lesson? Well, so what we do is on the phone, since we had that happen many, many moons ago, we realized we just got to be more clear and concise. So if I were doing the call with you, I would talk about, okay, make sure you wear something loose enough to move around in. The first lesson, we all participate, follow the dialogue. And then I'm going to make sure now, will dad be able to be here too? And when you tell me yes, perfect. Make sure and let him know as well, because we'll have everyone on the floor together. Will you do that for me? Yes. Great. Now, when they show up, I really, when we first started doing this some 19 years ago, we ran into the obstacle of we wanted to get the parents on the floor, but half the time, or at least 25% of the time, the parent would refuse, and we were kind of stuck. And the reason why we were stuck was because it was our fault. We didn't get confirmation ahead of time. Now, I really thought about why would this woman bringing in her 6-year-old kid refuse to participate? I mean, it doesn't make sense until we started thinking about, well, why would a person refuse to take off their shoes? Maybe they have wolfen toenails. Maybe they have holes in their socks, or maybe they're just unsure. Ooh, I don't know what socks I have on under these boots. I'm not taking them off.
Yeah.
Right. So for fear of embarrassment, they refuse. So that's how the whole part of the dialogue was even born. It's like, if we want them to do something, let's get cooperation from the beginning. And you did that with the mom. Perfect. Now make sure you get it for the dad too, and watch the problem just go away. Now, if mom said, yep, and I said, okay, and dad too, make sure he's wearing something loose enough to move around in as well, because we're all going to do it together to best support Timmy. And that's also an important component. Always let them know why. So now when we come in, we have them fill out the information sheet. We start our tour. And from the very beginning of our tour, heck, from the PA, they've got to bend the knee for you Game of Thrones fans, right? They've got to bend the knee. What does that mean? Well, it means they've got to comply. The whole PA, the top portion, the info portion, is to look for response indicators. And one of the ways we get ahead of it is in the dialogue. Oh, and make sure to put your sign on the signature line to give me the okay to teach your first lesson today, and to make sure that everything is correct. Okay. Now, people go, oh, well, you don't need to say that. Of course they sign it. It's not to get them to sign it. It's to elevate the importance of filling out every single blank. Because if you hand it back to me and it's not complete, we're not going to go any further. We're going to address that. I said, oh, okay. Well, let's see, ma'am. Oh, I don't have your what's your date of birth? Oh, I really have to put that? Oh, yeah. Heck, how else could I send you a birthday card? In other words, I've got to train you properly from the very beginning. When I ask you to do something, I expect you to do it. Otherwise, we can't go any further. It's no different than we teach our kids. It's no different than how you train a puppy, right? We've got to teach them how to participate, because if we let them decide or let them be in control, we're screwed. So we're going to fill out the PA. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're all going to go to the front door together. Mom, dad, everybody, come to the front door. We're going to teach you how to enter the academy. We're all going to say it together on the count of 3. Hello, sir. Hello, ma'am. Let's do it. Go. 1, 2, 3. And tell them why. And so again, I'm already building compliance. Now that we have that done, let's go ahead and kick our shoes off so we can feel the mat, so we can get out here on the mat. Bless you. Bless you. And if dad says, oh, no, I'm not going to do it, I'm going to look at mom and say, well, we already talked about this. Mom said you'd be out here. So go and take your shoes off. It's okay. We're not going to do anything too crazy. And we're going to loop right back around to telling him what we want him to do. And we're going to do it again. And if he says, well, there's no way I'm doing this, I am not going to do it no matter what you say. Why go any further? I mean, if it's me, I'm going to look him in the eye, because I know I did all my pre-steps. I'll say, well, maybe now's not the right time to get started in martial arts. That's okay. Heck, if we need to, we can press pause here. Heck, we can even issue a refund if you charge them any money. I mean, for $20, do I really care? I thought we were all on the same page. I'm going to look back at mom again. I'm going to let her kick his butt. Right? But there's no if I cannot get, and here's the thing we have to realize: when you lose control and you no longer have compliance, it never goes well. And like you said in your notes, they didn't sign up. So we wasted an hour of our life trying to help a family that was unhelpable. And that's unfortunate, but I just got to make sure I take one step at a time, and I have to get compliance at every piece. Yes, sir.
Before we go to Matt Sifu Hackelman, let me add this. One of the reasons why the parent needs to participate in the introductory lesson, and my preference is stand the parent up behind the kid, is they don't pass harsh judgment.
Yes.
If you allow a parent to watch their child perform anything, since it's a parent's duty and obligation to keep their child safe from both physical and emotional harm, they're going to look for all the reasons why the kid shouldn't start. Well, he doesn't seem very coordinated. Maybe he's not ready. Well, little Timmy's still trying to figure out that left foot, right foot thing. So letting a parent watch, they're going to be hypercritical to their students' performance. And as we all can agree, the people that need our help the most typically are not very athletic to start. So if you allow parents to sit and watch, I'll just tell you like it is, you will enroll less students. You will hear this. Well, we're going to go home and talk about it. Because what I don't want to say out loud is I watched my kid and I'm a little disappointed that he ain't ready. I mean, I'm being kind of playful here, but you need to prevent that. So at a minimum, if they choose, well, I'm not going to move around. Well, in that case, your best vantage point to see how I'm going to help your child develop that confidence you want them to have that you don't is to stand directly behind your youngster.
Mm.
Try to slip a funny in there. I think I missed.
And that's so true. I had a lady last week, and she goes, "Well, I'm actually due to give birth in like 2 weeks. I can't really do anything." I said, "Oh, that's okay. Don't worry. Just stand behind him, and that way he has your support." Come on.
Perfect. Sifu Hackelman, what is your burning question, sir?
We can't hear you, sir.
There's a lower left. There's an audio button. There's a
There you go.
There we
Hey,
go.
all right.
Yes, sir.
All right. I had a couple things. Number one, before I even get to mine, though, I'm a little lost on that last one. So you're basically telling the parent they shouldn't be watching this private or the trial? Is that what you're saying?
No, they're going to participate in the trial.
Yeah, they're
Right.
doing it too.
They're going
Okay.
to participate in the lesson. That's what we mean.
So they get on the mat and everything with you guys?
Absolutely. It's life changing for all involved. It's the best
Okay.
way.
Okay. So that was one, thank you. And then number two is we have on our website they send us a text and then Heather responds like 6 weeks later.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
I'm
that'd
joking.
be
I'm joking.
Wow.
I'm joking. No, but she responds. But then that autoresponder thing, I don't know if we have that. If we do, is there scripts that you guys
yeah.
have?
We can help you with that. I'll connect you with Roman, and perhaps he can assess how you're currently marking online, give you some advice, or maybe even help you with it. But we can provide that for you. But
Okay.
again, the autoresponder is not to replace your interaction. The
Right.
autoresponder is to introduce you and let them know, hey, I'm reaching out, brother. I'm going to go
Okay.
ahead and get in.
Okay. And then the last thing, like when say I'm interacting with a guy, I'm like, I'm talking to him like a guy, what is it the same script? Like if it's a female that does the callback? Because if it was martial arts, I would be like, I would have felt different talking to a male or a female, not one better or the other, but different because I don't like a guy's like, yeah, we're gonna come on train and we're gonna, yada yada yada. But then if it's a female calling, it just, is it different? Is the script different?
I understand exactly what you're saying.
Because my wife does all the calling. So
Fantastic. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So to answer your question, what we want to communicate can be performed by anyone.
okay.
So think of the dialogue as the content, but how you deliver the content, that's the context, depends on the current circumstance. Like for example, I'm not gonna speak to a kid the same way I speak to an adult.
Right.
I'm not going to speak to an adult male who's interested in martial arts. My tonality in my direction may change just a little bit if I'm speaking to an adult female who wants her child to enroll. So you're going to learn how to become flexible. But the first thing you got to realize is this: communication is not just what you say. communication is the result that you create, but you got to start somewhere. And what we've created over the last many decades, when I say many decades, like more than I would like to count, is that we've figured out what conversation has to be had. But how you deliver that conversation, well, it may be slightly adjusted based on who you're speaking with. But here's how it boils down. Who's calling? What do you want? How can I prove you can get it here? When you coming in? And let's get ready to sign up. I mean, that's really the gist of the initial information call, as well as every other call. See, one of the things we learned many years ago was don't have a conversation unless you know how you want it to end. In the realm of business, of course. You know, when I reach out to someone who's opted in, I know how I want it to end. I want it to end with a affirmed commitment where they understand the value I'm going to deliver, so they're certain to show up. So as you learn how to have these important conversations, you can make the adjustment on the fly. I heard a song recently that was remixed by someone else. Beautiful, but it was the same song. It was the same, I don't know that much about music, but the same beat and the same lyrics, same song, different presentation. That's what you're going to learn how to do. You're going to have the same song, a slightly different presentation based on who you're speaking with. But the core material is always the same. Who's calling? What do you want? How can we get it? And let's get started. Let's get cooking. So I understand your concern. Did I answer your question, or I just blabber for 30 seconds? Well, what's
No, I understand 100%. Thank
As
you.
a matter of fact, here comes the commercial. Here it comes. This 90-day training program we're going through, it's all about the foundation of level 1, level 2, level 3 business. Level 1 is everything you do to start building your membership roster. It's the leads. Yeah, listen, only having 10 people walk in over the course of a month, that's on you. Because most of us have within walking distance, 10, 15, 20,000 people, but our marketing is a little skewed. Our marketing is a little off. But when you understand how to market online, offline, inline, on the mat, you can have a steady stream of steady wannabe martial artists. And then second, once you had that conversation, what do you do to get ready for membership? You know, what is the conversation about the value of your program? What is the discovery process you use to help them realize you could be the answer they're looking for? You know, what do we set them up for? We do one-on-one intros, doing group intros. There's a lot of ways to skin that cat, but going through the training, you're gonna be able to dial in how you and your staff will create what needs to happen. You leveraging our materials so you help more people enroll. And then lastly, let's put people on memberships. Yeah, the truth is thousands of people have visited your academy over the course of the last few years. Most did not take the first step. And maybe they didn't take the first step because we didn't have the right first conversation. So that 99-day training, that's what it's all about. So whether it's for an owner or a staff member, I guarantee it will change your mind about this business. And through these very simple principles that we exercise, everybody can ramp up their game, end up helping more people. So here we are, the final 6 minutes. What do we need to wrap up, Mr. Pesky, Mr. Roman?
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Uh,
I
let
have
me say-
a favor to ask everyone in the group. I just dropped the link to our school group, and if you're on a laptop or on your phone, if you would click that and just make a post about a takeaway you've had from the Q&A call today.
Thank you. Yes.
There are a lot of people in the group, and not everyone hops on these calls or checks out the recording. So if you could just share one little silver BB or golden nugget that you took away from today, that'd be super helpful.
Excellent. Thank you, sir.
And that's it, Master Freeman. We answered your question. You were gone, but I'm sure your woman there will fill you in on the details if you weren't able to hear it. And hey, it was great to see all of you guys. Look forward to helping you guys grow. I'm telling you this stuff. What we're telling you guys is not theory. It's not conjure. It's what we use and our clients all over the country use, and it just works. So with that, have a great day.
All right. All the best to you guys.